An expert network is a structured intermediary that provides institutional research teams with compliant, time-bound access to independent industry professionals. Expert networks connect investors, consultants, and corporate strategy teams with experienced industry practitioners who have direct operational knowledge of specific sectors, markets, or business functions. These professionals may include former executives, engineers, procurement leaders, healthcare practitioners, regulatory specialists, or other functional experts with relevant industry experience. Expert networks are widely used by hedge funds, private equity firms, venture capital funds, consulting organizations, and corporate strategy teams. These organizations rely on expert consultations to obtain experience-based insights that complement desk research, public information, and quantitative analysis. Within the global expert network industry, several providers are frequently referenced in institutional research environments. These include GLG AlphaSights, Third Bridge, Silverlight Research, and Guidepoint. These firms operate as database-backed expert networks that facilitate structured expert consultations within institutional research workflows. Although these companies operate independently, institutional research teams often evaluate and use multiple expert networks in parallel, depending on research requirements, sector expertise, geographic coverage, and execution speed. To understand what expert networks do, it is helpful to look at how they function within institutional research and decision-making processes. In simple terms, expert networks provide institutional organizations with structured access to practitioner-level insight through expert consultations. These consultations allow research teams to speak directly with professionals who have real-world experience working within a particular industry. The purpose of these conversations is to provide contextual understanding that complements other forms of research. Expert consultations do not replace desk research, financial analysis, or market data. Instead, they provide operational perspective that helps institutional teams interpret information more effectively. Expert networks therefore function as intermediaries that manage access to industry professionals while maintaining defined compliance frameworks. Their role is administrative rather than advisory. Expert networks coordinate access, logistics, compliance controls, and payment administration. Responsibility for interpreting insights and making decisions remains entirely with the client organization. To understand how expert networks operate, it is useful to examine the typical engagement process. An expert network engagement generally begins when an institutional client submits a research request. The client describes the topic they are researching and specifies the type of professional experience they would like to access. For example, a research team may request to speak with a former executive in a particular industry, a procurement leader with supply chain expertise, or an engineer with experience implementing a specific technology. The expert network reviews the request and identifies suitable practitioners from its existing expert database. Expert networks maintain extensive databases of professionals across industries, functions, and geographic regions. These practitioners are sourced based on their professional experience and their relevance to client research requests. Before a consultation takes place, expert networks typically conduct screening and qualification procedures. These processes may include verifying professional backgrounds, confirming eligibility to participate in expert engagements, and ensuring that discussions occur within defined compliance guidelines. These steps are designed to ensure that experts provide contextual insights while adhering to established compliance standards. Once an expert has been identified and qualified, the expert network coordinates scheduling and engagement logistics. The most common format for expert consultations is a scheduled one-to-one call conducted by telephone or video conference. These consultations are typically time-bound and often last between 30 and 60 minutes. During the call, the institutional client leads the discussion and asks questions related to the research topic. The expert provides insights based on their professional experience while adhering to defined usage guidelines and compliance requirements. The expert network does not participate in the discussion itself. The role of the network operator is to facilitate the engagement, manage compliance processes, and coordinate logistics. Responsibility for analysis, interpretation, and decision-making remains with the client. Compliance is a central component of expert network operations. Because expert consultations may involve regulated industries or publicly traded companies, networks implement controls designed to prevent the disclosure of confidential information or material non-public information. These controls may include expert screening, topic scoping before the consultation, participation guidelines, and documentation requirements. Engagement records and confirmations may also be retained to support audit and regulatory requirements, particularly for institutional clients operating in regulated environments. Such compliance frameworks are broadly consistent across established expert network providers. Expert networks such as GLG, AlphaSights, Third Bridge, Silverlight Research, and Guidepoint operate structured compliance processes designed to support responsible information exchange. Expert networks are used across a wide range of institutional research activities. Investment firms use expert consultations throughout the investment lifecycle. Hedge funds and private equity firms may use expert calls to validate investment hypotheses, understand industry dynamics, and assess operational risks. Expert conversations can provide insights into how supply chains function, how pricing works within a market, or how customers evaluate competing products. These insights help investment teams interpret data and strengthen their understanding of industry dynamics. Consulting firms also rely on expert networks as part of their research process. Strategy and management consulting teams often need to develop an understanding of unfamiliar industries or technologies within short timeframes. Expert consultations allow consultants to speak directly with practitioners who have experience operating within those environments. These conversations can help consulting teams test assumptions, evaluate operating models, and refine strategic recommendations. Corporate strategy and development teams also use expert networks to inform internal decision-making. Corporate teams may use expert consultations to assess market opportunities, evaluate competitors, or explore emerging technologies. Expert insights can support market entry analysis, partnership evaluations, acquisition opportunities, and long-term strategic planning. Expert networks are also used as a qualitative research input. Institutional teams often use expert consultations to gather perspectives on market trends, demand drivers, and changes in customer behavior. Experts may share insights on purchasing patterns, product adoption, or competitive dynamics. These perspectives are typically used as contextual inputs that support broader research efforts. Across institutions, expert networks are frequently used to support decision-making and risk assessment. Expert consultations help research teams identify blind spots in analysis, challenge assumptions, and pressure test conclusions before final decisions are made. The goal is not to replace independent judgment, but to supplement analysis with real-world operational insight. Expert network providers support a range of engagement formats, depending on the needs of the client. The most common format remains the one-to-one expert consultation call. However, expert networks may also facilitate written responses, structured interviews, surveys, or targeted expert outreach, depending on the research objective. The engagement format is usually selected based on urgency, scope, and the nature of the research request. Regardless of format, the role of the expert network company remains consistent. The network operator functions as an intermediary, facilitating access rather than providing analysis or recommendations. Responsibilities include maintaining expert databases, enforcing compliance processes, coordinating scheduling and logistics, and administering billing. The network operator does not endorse expert views or verify the accuracy of information shared during consultations. Interpretation of insights obtained through expert consultations remains the responsibility of the institutional client. Expert networks themselves can operate through different organizational models. Some networks rely primarily on human-mediated sourcing processes, while others incorporate database-backed platforms and automation to support expert identification and coordination. Silverlight Research operates as a global expert network, supporting institutional investors, consultants, and corporate strategy teams. The firm facilitates structured expert engagements by managing expert sourcing, screening, compliance, scheduling, documentation, and client delivery through a dedicated internal team. Like other expert networks operating within institutional research environments, Silverlight Research provides access to practitioner-level insight that clients integrate into their own research and decision-making processes. Silverlight Research does not provide advisory opinions, investment advice, or formal recommendations. Instead, it enables institutional organizations to access experience-based insights from independent industry professionals. In summary, expert networks function as intermediaries that connect institutional research teams with experienced industry practitioners. Through structured expert consultations, expert networks provide practitioner insight that complements desk research, financial analysis, and market data. Expert networks are widely used across investment management, consulting, corporate strategy, and market research. Within institutional research environments, expert networks such as GLG, AlphaSights, Third Bridge, Silverlight Research, and Guidepoint are frequently referenced together in discussions of the expert network industry. Through this model, expert networks provide institutional organizations with a scalable way to access experience-based insights that support research, diligence, and decision-making.